Are you suffering from a floppy bush? Fear not, I can help you solve it. Keep watching to find out how. Car Obsession is proudly supported by Carly and Draggy. Check out the video description to find out the latest discount codes. Hello guys and welcome back to Car Obsession. Once more I'm joined by Monique, my Mk1 MX-5 or Eunos Roadster if you want to be pedantic. And as you can tell by the title of this video, I'm fitting these Cobalt Door Bushes which have been sent to me by the lovely people at Moss Europe. Now this is quite a popular, I wouldn't say modification, more of a maintenance item for the Mazda MX-5 because over the years, for example, Monique is 25 years old, the OEM door bushes, they get soft, they get floppy, and it means that the doors don't quite sit right, so you get rattling, and it can also affect the handling. You may think, that's nonsense, but hear me out. If the doors aren't quite closed properly or aren't quite aligned with the body and not sealing as tight as sealed as they could do, then the actual structure of the car isn't quite as rigid. So yes, the idea of these is that the doors close more nicely, you get less rattling, and it can also make the chassis more rigid. So without further ado, let's get them fitted. Now before I do that, let's hear how the door closes on the stock bushes, as well as how the car sounds when on the move. Let's do it with the window down. Gotta get my clip-on microphone really close so I can hear the rattle. Now this road is particularly bumpy, so it'll be a good test. It may be a little bit too subtle to pick up on camera, but I can definitely hear some creaking and rattling coming from the doors. About to go over a train crossing, so see how she sounds. Yeah, quite rattly. And with that, time to go to the workshop. Now this is a very easy job. You won't need very tall. You won't need. I can't talk. It's still early. I have not had any caffeine. You won't need many tools. You won't need many tools. So what I have at my disposal, I've got some 180 grit sandpaper, although the instructions say 120, but that's the best I can get hold of. I probably won't need this, and I will explain why you might need this in a few moments. I've got some grease, which I'll use for the new bushes, and I've got some Loctite for the new bolts. In regards to actual tooling, that is very straightforward because all I've got here is my trusty ratchet with a 10mm socket. Now I've just noticed that the bolts from factory do actually have a Phillips crosshead. So you can either use a ratchet or you can just use a crosshead screwdriver. I've got this to hand, so why wouldn't you use this? So let's get you a little bit closer to the action. Now the reason why I mentioned you might need the sandpaper is because you might need to sand down the metal cup that sits on the actual door, because you may find that the new bush doesn't quite align. Now, I would be surprised if I need that, but I've got it just in case, albeit not quite the right grit. So just to give you an idea, so let me get one of the new bushes out, and you'll see the difference in rigidity. Good word that, rigidity. So let me just make sure I'm actually going to be on camera, so I can't see the screen. So this is the old bush. My hand-eye coordination has really let me down. So as you can see, it's got quite an amount of flex in it, and that's why over time, the doors rattle and don't sit in place. Now, for comparison, here is Again, hand-eye coordination really let me down. Oh my God. Doesn't help that the screen's upside down as well, so that's not helping. So here's the new bush, and look at that. I'm using 2 hands. It is as solid as a rock. Oh my God, hand-eye coordination. There we go. I can actually see what I'm doing with the screen now. So yes, as you can see, that is not budging for love nor money. Now, the kit does come with new bolts, which don't have a crosshead pattern on them, so you will need a 10mm socket for these ones. So it's always handy to use the old markings to help you line it up. Now, I did mention using thread lock, but I'm not going to do it just yet. So what I want to do first is to kind of do these up by hand and make sure that it actually lines up with the metal cup. So you don't want to go through the faff of fitting them, putting thread lock on them, and finding that's not even biting. You don't want to go through the hassle of thread locking it all, only to find they're out of alignment, because that would be quite a headache. But that's going in. So yeah, I'm not going to tighten it all the way, because there will be, as you can see, there is room for movement. So I'm going to try and line it up like so. So as you can see, that is the metal cup that actually sits on the door. And yeah, so it's all about making sure that aligns into there. Now, another thing worth doing, which I should have done beforehand actually, is with the new bush, make sure it fits in nicely. And if it doesn't, that's probably where you need to start sanding things down. But I'm so confident I didn't do that. But I would recommend that you do. So, to gently close the door. Yep, I can tell that's not. Oh, already. Oh, hear that. Hear that. It's like a golf. But I'm just going to have a look, because I'm not I'm not convinced it's quite sitting where it needs to. But already, that difference is night and day. You may find that you have to fine-tune the placement of the bush, like I'm doing here. Let's go for another one. Oh, that feels better. Still a little bit difficult to open. That's why you want to grease it. A few more adjustments were needed, but don't be alarmed if the door is difficult to open or close to begin with, because it will ease up. But one thing I like is that when you close the door, you don't get any of that kind of after rattle. You get the initial rattle from the window, then that's that. Well, I reckon she's good to go. Once you're happy with the placement, you have to properly tighten the bolts after you've applied medium strength thread locker. The instructions state to tighten to 7 Nm, but my torque wrench only goes as low as 12 Nm, so just make sure you do it snug. Once fitted, you will need to apply grease to the bush. The instructions recommend silicone grease, although they also state that any kind of grease can be applied, apart from the film grease. That's not compatible, and that's just silly. The doctor will see you now. Pull down your trousers, bend over, you won't feel a thing, I promise. Right, now I'm going to close the door, well, open and close the door a few times. Yeah, you can see I've got a bit excited with the Loctite. Looks like I've stabbed a member of the Blue Man group. Right, anyway, moving on. Oh, that is solid. That is extremely satisfying. And the grease has really helped to open the door, because look, no struggling, it's just nice and smooth like butter. So yeah, just do this a few times just to help bed things in, but yeah. The rattling from the windows is still annoying, but yeah, it's just how it is. I'll tell you what, let me pop the window down. So, let's have a listen. Oh, yes. That is genuinely impressive. All that leaves is to repeat the same process for the other side, and it gave me the chance to try out a new toy, a Milwaukee impact ratchet, #NoAd. Loctite, give me Loctite. I need to apply it to this little bolt in here. Loctite. Oh no, hang on, it's going to be a copyright strike, isn't it? Could have Sir Tom Jones's lawyers beating down my door. I chose my standard ratchet to tighten the bolts as I didn't want to get too carried away with my new toy and potentially snap a bolt. Guess what? I snapped the bolt anyway. Oh, the irony. Wow. Already, I can tell that's made quite the difference. And that's my God honest first impression. I'd like to think that it isn't mind over matter, but yeah, Monique definitely feels more rigid. It's mad to think that just by fitting some little bushes can... So I've got to concentrate here. Yeah, it's mad to think that just fitting some little bushes can have quite a large effect. So it's a small, inexpensive modification or maintenance item, but the result is large. Believe me. Oh. No word of a lie. She is soaking up the bumps more nicely. For the sake of, I think this kit costs about, I don't know, somewhere between 20 and 40 quid. I mean, why wouldn't you? And it's such an easy thing to fit. As long as you torque the bolts up properly. Over the train tracks. Oh, it's almost like a Rolls Royce. If a Rolls Royce was fitted on Gasgold Pro coilovers, that is. Right, bumpy road. Let's do it. Once more down the bumpy road, as I call it. This side of the road's actually worse, so it's a better test. Yeah, I can hear more of the suspension working as opposed to the actual doors creaking or rattling. Right, so it's time for me to sum up really. Would I recommend this kit? Of course I would. I think you'd have to be a nutter not to fit it, because it really does make a difference, and it's so inexpensive and easy to fit that, yeah, arguably, I would say this is probably the first thing you want to do to your MX-5 if you just bought it. Now, I will of course pop a link to the item description in the video description. Once more, a massive thank you to Moss Europe for hooking me up with their door bushes. And yeah, I'm kind of annoyed with myself. Well, okay, I'm annoyed with myself that I broke a bolt, because that was just pure stupidity. But I'm even more annoyed with myself that I didn't do this sooner, because it is quite a transformative thing. More so than I was expecting, so yes. Definitely one of the first things you should be doing to your Mazda MX-5. Without any shadow of a doubt. So yes, it is time for me to end this video. I do hope you've enjoyed it or found it useful. If you have any questions, then please drop them in the comment section below. If you have enjoyed it, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. If you are subscribed, don't forget to click the bell icon so you get notified every time I make a video. But until the next time, guys, be sure to keep up the car obsession. Oh yes.